chemical pollution, you are outside of that, and you're also outside the pollution, and they've proven this. There's like wavelengths coming off the mind. They broadcast all the programmed brains that are broadcasting the evil. You're also away from those, and it's the incredible peace of being out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep. You know, the computer talks, consciousness knows. That's why when you go into the silence and you're quiet in your mind, you can get incredible insights that you can't when the mind chatter's going. Because the computer mind chatter never stops. Everyone listening to this show will understand what I mean, where the mind never shuts down. It's always talking. It's always trying to work things out. It's always trying to create dramas or reacting to dramas and all the rest of it. Then when you go into a state, some people call it meditation. I don't meditate. I daydream, which I guess is a form of meditation, but I don't sit cross-legged, not least because I've got arthritis and I can't, but I don't sit crosslegged and meditate, although, you know, good luck to those who do. But I let consciousness in by shutting the chatter down. And what's happening, you remember that that mass mind control manual that came to like quiet weapons for silent weapons for a quiet war.
Colonel Alexander.
Yeah, there was a line in that which encapsulates what we're saying here. It said, keep them busy, busy, busy back on the farm with their other animals. They're trying to keep our minds occupied constantly because the mind chatter is occupied by that level of entertainment that we get on the television or what passes for it, the news, the television's never on, off, the radio's on, all the time, mind chatter, and that holds us in body consciousness reality because it's dealing with words, which is a body consciousness decoding.
Okay, David, I want to ask you advice about myself personally. I really respect you in this area. In the behind-the-scenes internet-only discussion at prisonplanet.tv and the InfoWars exclusive streams right now. For everybody else, we'll be right back. David, every day I talk about this, or I think about this, and every week I talk about it on air.
Right.
At 1 a.m., laying in bed or sitting, you know, on the couch at 10 o'clock at night when my wife and children are asleep, I have just amazing insights. I write it down on paper, huge understandings about the New World Order, predictions that then come true, understanding thousands of pieces of data that my subconscious, whatever you want to call it, is able to analyze. And then when I get on air, I can never articulate it with any of the depth. I mean, I do it to a great extent, but nothing like the true depth of that quiet time understanding and that tuning into everything. And when I tune into the huge, universe, I'm not worried about the New World Order killing me. I'm not worried about what's going to come and what's going to happen. But then as soon as I shift back into battle mode, then it seems like I'm more focused, but I lose a lot of my, well, frankly, prescience.
Well, that's interesting because I know exactly what you mean, and what I've been doing with myself over the last months and years is not going into battle mode because that brings you into body consciousness. It doesn't mean you can't be just as passionate and just as absolutely determined to make a difference. But when you go into battle mode, the body consciousness kicks in, and body consciousness it has the ability to think for itself, but it deals in words. And we have simply, because this understanding of who we are, Alex, has been lost for so long, we've not developed the language to describe what we know as a knowing on a higher consciousness level.
Yeah, it's a knowing. It's a knowing.
It's a knowing. It's a knowing. And it's a knowing because you're dealing with consciousness that knows. The reason that you hear silence when you go into higher consciousness is because higher consciousness knows. It doesn't have to work it out through constant chatter. I wonder if it's this, I wonder if it's that. It knows. And then when you come back into body consciousness, that's what the world does. It pulls you in, absolutely.
But from a genetic expression, they now know that it's not what you call reincarnation. It is all those millions of people that came before you, all that genetic information passed on. We really are using 100% of the brain, not 10% like the scientists say. It's just that we normally are only consciously using 10%. There is so much more. It is a species knowledge and a species memory that wants to go to the stars.
I tell you what they've done, and there's no better symbol of what they've done to the human computer than China. If you go on the internet in China, there's vast amounts of the internet you cannot access because it's firewalled off. That's what they've done. And as we open the firewalls, as consciousness intervenes, then we start to see things.
You're not talking about the internet for folks that just tuned in. You're saying the consciousness is like a Chinese internet where 90% of it is walled off, curtailed, surveilled. And people through the panopticon self-surveil and restrict themselves in China.
Yeah, what I'm saying is the body computer, even though it's just a vehicle, it's a fantastic vehicle, and it has potentially the ability to decode far more than it does. But what they've done, and I think there's been genetic intervention through the thousands of years and many other things, they have firewalled off, and this is an interesting point given what we've been talking about. What does a hypnotist do? I've seen a hypnotist say to someone, okay, I'm going to ask you your name, and you're not going to be able to know it. You're not going to be able to know your name. And he says the key word, and he asks them their name. They can't remember their name because he's firewalled off that ability to decode their name. So when you think what they're doing in China with the, if you like, the World Wide Web Internet, where Chinese people can't access vast chunks of it because they don't want, the Chinese authorities don't want the people to see what exists there in terms of information, the elite, the shadow people that understand this reality, they have done the same. They have firewalled off the human-computer system as, through the various techniques they use, so we don't decode vast amounts of reality, even within this reality. That
okay, David, we're back. We're back live. Here we go. All right. The time's almost up with David Icke. I might be able to twist his arm for 10 minutes more into overdrive today, but I doubt it. There's so much he wants to talk about. I want to know about why the elite, who are aware of all of this, like to get into the darkness, and why they revel in that and some of the rituals they do. I mean, now Macy's has come out with 666 Knights of Hell Bohemian Grove wear. It says Bohemian Grove on it. It's using official Bohemian Grove logos, Macy's nationwide. It's up on Infowars.com. I want to get into that, and then anything else you want to cover, David, and then take a few phone calls at 1-800-259-9231. But everything you say makes all these other ideas and thoughts I've already had, but at a deeper level, start exploding, so that's why I'm jumping in. But I want you to have a chance to really run. So I'm just going to literally turn my mic off and step back. We're going to skip this next break for the internet. For everybody else, we'll be right back. And just, you've got the floor. Run with it.
Well, first of all, in terms of where we're going with this, we need to get a blank sheet of paper. And I'm not talking as some guru who's on a mountain and telling you how to do it. I'm telling you what happened to me over the last 20 years. And when you, and it's a simple thing, Alex, but my goodness me, is it powerful in how it pans out and plays out in changes in your life and everything. Once you look in the mirror and you identify what you are looking at with the vehicle that's allowing you to experience this frequency range we call the world, and you move your sense of identity to I am infinite consciousness, I am all that is, has been, and ever will be. Not that time exists outside of this reality. It's another figment of our manipulated imagination and programming. Once you move your sense of identity out to that level of self, everything changes. I mean, you know, fearful of what some government's going to do, fearful of the consequences of taking action in pursuit of freedom. I mean, you know, that level of consciousness, which is a level of love, which is beyond our comprehension. It's not I love you, darling, saw you down the disco. That level of love is an attraction. Actually, it can be manipulated chemically if you stimulate certain chemicals in the brain. That's attraction. I was in a half kind of wake state, waking up the other day, and going around my head was this statement: love is not what you are in, I'm in love with you. Love is what you are. And at that level of love, the true definition of love, not attraction, but love for all, love for self, it has no fear. It only does, not what it believes to be right, it does what it knows to be right. And it chooses freedom. And freedom and love do not do consequences. There's no mental gymnastics, oh, I want freedom, but what are the consequences for me of going down there? Freedom doesn't do consequences, love doesn't do consequences, it does what it believes to be right. And I tell you what, when you get to this level of consciousness, Alex, something that would change this world overnight because of all that would come from it, if people started making decisions not based on what is right for me in the circumstances before me, and that turns out often not to be right for you anyway, but what is right End of story in the circumstances that I face. What is right?